Hi guys, yeah, this is Peter Oluwadare here. So this is we're having real conversation. So real conversation is a talk like a kind of discussion that will be going on this channel with some of my friends and some people that will be coming on board with me, where we're just going to be discussing some issues like that and some other topics like that borders on spirituality, about our culture, about our lifestyle, and several other things. There is no culture without history. The history of a particular people is what later forms what we call culture. The way people live, the way they play, the way they define their spirituality, the way they do things, the way they've lived, how they see entertainment, and all of these things, the way they interact with each other is what later forms history. And history later becomes what we call culture, right? So all of these things, some of them are, the things that forms our beliefs that, pretty much shape our minds and then control how we see lives and, how we relate with each other. So some of these things are the things we are going to be discussing on this very, program or shows, like I would call it. So my friend and brother that should have, come on board with me tonight who is not available, but for some reason, a good one. So we're going to come together again, I believe, next week, and we're going to have a good time to discuss all of this together. So this is just like an introduction, right? Introductory session. So I'm just going to pretty much within 20 to 30 minutes, lay just that foundation. I'm not going to define, I'm not going to do anything, but we're going to do all that, next week. So I am Peter Oluwadare by name, and I'm so excited to just, keep bringing these. I would like to just, bring these and, talk about it. All right. All right, you're welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so when we talk about all these things, so what I want to talk about today, or what I want to just lay the foundation today is man, right? When we say man, I'm not talking about gender. I'm not talking about maybe the male man, or I'm talking about man as a corporate, or a particular a person, or the person of man. Yeah, the person of man. What is the capabilities? What is the abilities of this man, and where does it come from? Because we've heard different things like they are from ape, or maybe homo sapiens and all that. We've heard different or several other things, but I believe that we cannot gain a concise meaning, or we can't gain a perfect knowledge of who man, or what man. We're talking about the subject what, not the who. So the who refers to the identity, but now what is talking about the designation, like what is this man capable of. And I'm not talking about features, right? Because what is easier to do is to just zone into that level of features, where we talk about the things that man owns or has. Look at the physical features, the hands, the everything, the makeup of man. So all of that is not just what we talk about, because there are many people who have all of these things, and Some are wicked by human definition, and some are good by human definition. Some are rich, some are poor. So if we want to go by the test of features, there's going to be a whole lot of questionings and a whole lot of confusion around that, because you see someone who has the same 10 fingers, 2 hands, legs, and all that, that doesn't have, what you call this whole thing, doesn't have the other things that people have, doesn't have the blessings of opportunities and other things that some other people have, right? So I'm just going to just start from there. So now, when we talk about man, we know that nothing just happens on this planet Earth. Nothing just happens. There is always, a source or an origin of something. When we talk about anything, right? Any product, any idea, any world, any industry, whatever you want to talk about, started with a particular person. And so, if you want to talk about man, we know that man too must have originated from somewhere. Definitely not from ape. So man was made, not just created by like other animals, right? So man was made. It was not created like animals. So you could hear, what people would say and all that. That maybe man is from this or that or all that. So man was created by God and was not created like animals. Since God is the only one who can create something out of nothing, He is the original creator, but He made man in His own image and His likeness. So for us to really gain a perfect understanding of what man is, we will need to, check what was in the heart of this creator when He created man. And so when we talk about the fact that God is the one who created man, it means that God is the perfect reference for man. If you want to gain a perfect knowledge, a perfect understanding of what man is, because He was the only one. God created man in His own image and His likeness, and part of what that means is that if you really want to understand man, you will need to understand part of the qualities or the attributes of God, because the Bible is the book so far that I've seen. I've not come across any articles or any book that perfectly talks about the history of man, the history of creation, right? Like it was documented, or as it was documented in the Bible. Because you've read books that talks about the Big Bang theory. You've heard all manner of theories and what have you. But when you read the Bible, especially when you read the book of Genesis, you can picture and see everything how it started. For instance, chapter 1, verse 1 talks about the fact that in the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. So it tells us that there was a beginning, and then there was a creator who was before the beginning. That beginning was not the beginning of the creator himself. The beginning was not the beginning of God. The beginning was the beginning of what was created. So because God himself doesn't live in the realm of time and space, He transcends the limits of time and space. It is we, human, who lives in the realm of time and space. So when we talk about God, God does not live in the realm of time and space because He is eternal. And when we talk about something that is eternal, we're talking about something, a concept that is not, moved or caged or limited by time and space. We are limited by time and space, like the Bible talked about in Acts chapter 17 verse 25, that He was the one who created us, that He made man out of one man, which is Adam, and He designed our borders, our place, and also our appointed time in life or in history. So you could see a vivid explanation, a clear one at that, to give us a perfect understanding into who this or who this God is. So, I'm not going to digress so much. We'll talk more about this next week when my friend comes, on board. So right. So what I'm talking about is the fact that God is not limited by time and space, and a little bit of that was wired into this creation, because we talked about the fact that God is not limited by time and space, and he made man, not just created. There is an aspect of man that was created, talking about his physical makeup, the body. So when a man leaves this earth, for instance, the body will return back to the dust, because the body was formed. So there is an aspect of man that was formed, there is an aspect of man that was made, and there is an aspect of man that was a form of that was created by a form of inspiration, like the solical, like the mind, right? So because we are going to look at all of that. So the foundation is that man was not a result of Big Bang theory. Man was a product, or an idea of God. Man was an idea of God. So it was God who made man, not the other way around, and not that maybe some Big Bang theory. It was not documented in the Bible that we come from ape or from chimpanzee or whatever you want to talk about. That is not documented. And the reason why I am using the Bible as the perfect go-to, thesis, is the fact that it captures the past, the present, and the futures, the past events, the present, and even the future, what is going to happen. So if you glance through, or you take your time to really read through these compendium of thoughts of God, you discover that this is the so perfect records of history, of divinity, of spirituality, of lifestyle. As a matter of fact, that is where you see the origin of law. When God was to give law to Moses, right? Law means nomos. It means the normal things, the things that should become the norm. So when God was given the law to Moses, he wasn't given just some form of regulations. He was given the things that would guide our lifestyle, our relationship with each other. So that is that about that. So God is the one who created man, and you would see that in chapter 1 of the book of Genesis, where it says, "Let us make man in our own image." So we need to understand that God is Trinity, and there is an aspect of that that was built into man, right? The spirit, because God is a spirit, right? So there is an aspect of that that is in us. So God is a spirit. So, and I talked about the fact that God is a trinity, or is trinity, right? Three persons in one. It's a concept that we cannot understand as human being. Our mind, the human mind, cannot compute infinity. We cannot really, understand that. It goes beyond what we can use our mind, to comprehend. So it takes another level of reference, or another level of living expression, for us to really come into that atmosphere, or into that mind, into that place where we are able, into that realm, yeah, where we are able to comprehend that ideology of the fact that man was created as a triune being, that God himself is Trinity. And so far, we are made in his own image and his likeness. It then means that we have an attribute of that, because man has, an attribute of God, the Trinity. So you want to talk about our mind, or our soul, as we will say it. So the spirit, the soul, and then the body, right? So all of that is together. The one that is more maybe distinct to the other would be the spirit, because God is a spirit, and so we connect to God with our spirit. But let me leave that. We are going to talk about that in details in our next meeting, or yeah, the next time we'll meet. So God is our reference point, and God is constant. So man is created by God. We have part of us that can interact with the unseen realm. And what do I mean by that? Whether man, whether woman, when we sleep, there is still an aspect of us that is very much awake, that connects to another realm, or another realm that is beyond this our physical world. There are things that we get to see, whether it's the evil side or the good side, but we know that there is such another world, that transcend, or that goes beyond this our physical world. And all of that are the things that we are going to be talking about. So when we talk about man, the first thing I want to establish is the fact that man was created by God, and he also has the attributes of God. Part of that is that he has, what are the attributes of God? In chapter 1, verse 1 of Genesis, it talks about, in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form, was void, and then God spoke. So there is that ability in man as well, that is chaotic. When man sees chaos around his environment, he wants to bring some order and some meaning into that environment. So it doesn't matter. That's why some people go to any length, like they can go to any length to do whatever it takes to bring some order and to bring some form of beauty around them. If it means they do it by crook means, by stealing, by killing, by doing whatever they just want, it's just some inner attributes that that is there, that we are not wired to see disorderliness around us and just want to leave. When we do so for a long time, it kind of brings us down to a level where we degenerate, and that is another form of pressured zone where man don't want to get into. So that's that about the fact that man was created by God, and it was created after God's image. And part of that is that when we look at the way this shirt, this top I'm wearing, the way it was manufactured, is that it should stay on my body. And so the body of a guy was what was used to create this. In the mind of the manufacturer, when he was making this shirt, he makes sure it has the physique, or the design of a guy, of a man. So when it says man was made in the image and the likeness of God, that is another symposium discussion. But part of the way to understand is that we were made in the way, in a dimension of God was wired into our being. A dimension of God was wired into our being. That's part of what that means. So I'm just going to stop it there today, while we continue again next week. Thank you for joining. And if you relate with this at a later time, if this is the first time you're relating or you're coming in contact with this channel, I will want you to subscribe and to share this. I remain Peter Oluwadare, your friend and brother. And so we're going to catch up again next week. Thank you so much for joining today. I say hi to everybody, and I would love to hear from you in the comment section, and just to connect with you. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you again next week. Bye bye.